So in this video, I wanted to showcase some of my Transformers Studio Series figures. Over the years, I've gotten quite a few of these guys. The most recent one I got was the Transformers Nemesis Prime from Transformers The Last Night. I already opened it and the review's up for it, but here's the box for it. In that video, I kind of showcased some of the other ones that I had for a size comparison, but wanted to go through all of them, as I think the Studio Series is a really cool series they've done through the years, where they go back and revisit some of the characters from the live-action Transformers films and do kind of the ultimate regular kind of toy forms of them, where they're really able to kind of get the molding down, the designs down, make them way better than they ever were from their original movie lines, even if some of the original movie line figures were pretty solid. I'm going to go through them. First, I'm going to start with the Autobots. We're going to start with Optimus, but not from the Transformers Studio, well, not from the Nemesis Transformers The Last Night one. We're not going to start with that. We're actually going to start with Optimus from Transformers Dark of the Moon, that Studio Series figure. I showcased that one in the Last Night Nemesis Prime review. But here is the Dark of the Moon Optimus. And this one right here has gotta be one of my favorites, just because of how much I love the design for Dark of the Moon Optimus. Just the way Optimus looked in those original three films in general was just so good. The perfect, how they implemented the original kind of G1 features just in the kind of Michael Bay style. It just looked so amazing. And then Dark of the Moon, just the upgrade that he got with the whole abdomen section. I mean, it was just one great looking robot right here. I love what they did with Dark of the Moon Optimus. And with the Studio Series figure, just in terms of the way this looks great in terms of representing Optimus Prime and that design. Just the way the proportions are, just the look of the figure, all the stuff that you would need. It is great. Even if this is not perfect, I mean, it does have some flaws. Mainly the one thing that is disappointing is how it does have faux parts, mainly in the chest, meaning the chest isn't actually the chest that transforms from the front windows. When you see how it opens up right here, that's the actual real windows. With the way these Studio Series figures were done, the way they had to kind of make it to where they scale right in robot form and in vehicle mode with all of them, I guess they had to make the truck a certain size. But you know what? It's fine, just because I prefer, give me the most accurate robot design that you can, to where I don't really even care about who the hell ever has these guys left in their, vehicle mode. It's more of just a gimmick than anything else. So, that's one flaw, the faux chest. And then just some of the other transformation features, like the way they did kind of the legs, a little inaccurate in terms of this back tire section being down here. In the original, trilogy design, that tire section, it was kind of this part right here, the front tire went down to his leg. At least they were able to kind of replicate that by having the red part down here. But you see that would have been this right here, these wheels. That would have been accurate, as in the movies, his two tires were down on his thighs. So at least they were able to put that mechanism there to make it accurate. Although if you split it apart, it gets like really messy. Like, what the hell is that? But at least they were able to kind of make it accurate by having it fold up like that. So they did good stuff to kind of make it as accurate as possible, even if the transformation was far from perfect. Like I said, love how this guy looks. The weapons that he comes with, in terms of having his sword right here, where in Dark of the Moon he kind of holds it like an actual sword instead of it popping out of his forearms Wolverine style, or wrist Wolverine style, or whatever. And then his battle axe used in the battle against Sentinel Prime at the end. In the back, I haven't even talked about this thing, the weapon storage trailer that he came with, that you saw, at least in this form, most prominently at the beginning of Dark of the Moon, where it folds up or comes out after when he's about to take on the driller. Really cool, the storage that it has. It has the two kind of Gatling weapons that he'll use for his battle when he's got the jet power mode going on, or jet wing mode. Got the shield right here, if you can see that. His kind of not mini, but rifle gun. This is the look of the one from the first couple of movies. He used it briefly in Dark of the Moon. Then the actual jetpack, let me showcase that. This thing right here, very nice. it's not as easy as just clipping it onto his back. You gotta kind of transform the back a little bit to put it on, but your basic look would be kind of, if that kind of looks right, it would clip onto there. But like I said, you have to do some transformations to actually put that on. But really cool how that was implemented. Even cooler is how, like I said, this design, this is supposed to be Dark of the Moon Optimus, but through another figure that I'll get to later in showcasing, you can actually make him be the original, the first Optimus design from the first two movies, which the main difference is this abdomen section, to where you take off his little six-pack, wiggle that out, just kind of bare like that. And then you can stick this piece on, where in the first two movies it was more of just, it wouldn't have the whole six-packs thing. It was just a regular kind of solid red covering, armor, whatever you want to call it. So that would be Optimus from the first couple of movies. And so with that, first couple of movies, you didn't really have these things going on, the axe. You just pull that out. Pull this one out. The major thing I would have liked is along those lines, because in the first couple of movies, the sword actually came out of his wrist like that. It's kind of like a Wolverine style blade or whatever. Unfortunately, the way this is designed to be Dark of the Moon Optimus, so this can't like pop out like that. There was a studio series that was like that, but unfortunately, yeah, this one, the way it's designed, can't do that. So you would have to get the original studio series that had the blades that allowed you to do that. So if you want to be accurate to the first trilogy Optimus, or the Optimus from the first two movies, you would take this gun and give it to his right hand, I guess. Stick that in there, then boom, Optimus with his rifle from Transformers 1 and 2. So overall, like I said, really love the look of this guy. This is an awesome Optimus representation from Optimus Prime from the first three movies. Should mention this is a Voyager, but at least, actually no, I think when this came, this actually might have, should have looked it up. I'm pretty sure this is a leader. With everything that came with it, this was a leader class, even though the actual Optimus is more Voyager scale, so pretty cool. Next one I want to show off that I have, go from Optimus Prime to Bumblebee. Studio Series Bumblebee. Angle that down a little bit more because it's a smaller figure. There we go, Bumblebee. That's Bumblebee from the first movie, that Camaro, which you can tell based on the front part right here. That's the Camaro 1, the movie that made Camaros all the popular, super popular. I have one myself just because of that first Transformers movie. So yeah, Bumblebee, this is a deluxe figure. Certainly feels that way in terms of its scale when you see how it compares to Optimus. But this is a great looking figure as far as just getting, again, those proportions right, the look, everything about it. Very nicely done, bringing that Bumblebee design to life in its most accurate deluxe form. Unfortunately, you see it's got the battle mask here. Unfortunately, it's only the battle mask version. I wish there was a way, maybe they did like a ball joint head that came with a separate head, so you can go back and forth between both looks. The only Bumblebee, I think they did this for the Revenge of the Fallen one also, where it was only battle mask. But the only one that you can do that would be the, regular face version. I think it's the Dark of the Moon one, but I don't have that one, unfortunately. And they never did a Transformers The Last Night version of this guy. But still, this guy looks great. Of course, looks great right next to Optimus. And like I said, with Studio Series figures, the way the scale goes in terms of putting them together, whether it's Autobot or Decepticon, look great. And when it comes to your big two guys, it doesn't really get much better looking than that. So those guys look great next to each other. And our next one we're going to take a look at, it's going to be a Voyager. Again, we're going Autobots first. Ironhide, the Autobot weapon specialist. This is a Voyager. Now this was a tricky, well, I don't want to say tricky one to pull off. This is an interesting one how I got this. I got this off eBay. It was for an unbelievable price to where it came with actual additional features and weapons that allowed you to make it Dark of the Moon Ironhide. I'll get into that later. But yeah, this guy looks nice as well. Unfortunately, this one that I have, the arms just don't stay up very well, at least this right one right here. Left one stays up pretty good. But again, represents Ironhide pretty well. Got your big old cannons to show off. This kind of blaster one and this more missile kind of one. Nice. Kind of gets the kind of bulky Ironhide look down very well. Overall, it's a solid representation. Not in terms of just kind of the nature of the guy, not super posable or that fun to handle. I think the best thing is how well the face sculpt looked. That face sculpt looks amazing. And again, gets the basic look of the guy down. Unfortunately, if you want to have this guy next to, I'd say, like Optimus, so you have to have it to where his legs are kind of crunched. Because if you have him standing like all the way out, this is like really stiff. Sorry, I guess I haven't moved it in a while. Oh wow, I can't even get it to move anymore. Oh well, but if you have him standing like all the way, like that scale would actually, show it off. That scale wouldn't be accurate. Ironhide, he's a bigger Autobot, but this makes it look like he's more on the size of Prime Optimus. If you wanted to have it to where it's more accurate, you need to kind of scrunch the legs down. Even bend the knee a little bit. And then that looks more accurate. No, it's still not perfect, but you know, there's only so much you can do. But it gets the basic idea down. This one, though, not one of my favorites, just in terms of just some of the posability, other stuff here and there. It is nice, though, the version that I came with these extra guns to where you can make him easily Dark of the Moon Ironhide, where he's actually holding his kind of rifle kind of guns like that. You would take off these cannons, but I prefer to have it where he's actually just got the cannons. That's the better look for this guy. There you go, looks a little bit better. So yeah, decent representation. Not one of my favorites though. Just kind of the posability and the way the guy feels, not great. That brings us to our next one. It's going to be kind of an interesting one. I'll get into why. Is Ratchet from, at least how it looks obviously, Ratchet from Dark of the Moon. But you can see, if you can tell, based on if this camera wants to focus or not, this Ratchet I actually painted. This was from a weird one. It was like a Ratchet from, I put it at Target. The version that I got was like was painted like a gray color. It was supposed to be like Nest Stealth Ratchet or something like that, where it was all kind of gray, not any of the colors he was from the first movie or the first two movies or Dark of the Moon. So when I got it, I mean, I had it for a little bit, but I was like, I want to paint it. So I painted him in his green Dark of the Moon colors, mainly because it was easier than doing the first movie where you had to get that kind of weirdish, kind of piss yellow, and then you have to put all the red kind of ambulance lines or whatever on there. This version was doing it green and white was easier to do, and I think it came out better. I've seen pictures of the actual official Dark of the Moon color Ratchet, and I actually don't like the green they used for that one. I think this green, at least the one I used, looks a lot better. It's not super refined. You can see it in terms of how I painted it, but it gets the job done as far as looking like that Ratchet. This was a, I can't even remember now. It's either a Voyager or Deluxe, obviously. I would say it's a little bit bigger than your normal Deluxe, so it's probably a Voyager. Actually, I'm really not sure, because you look at the comparison between him and Bumblebee, that's somewhat accurate, even though Ratchet should be a bit taller. Let me stand them up. Yeah, that's actually mostly kind of accurate to how it should be. But I'm gonna guess, man, ain't no way this should be a Voyager. So I'm gonna hope that this was a deluxe. But either way, this looks really good. Well, at least I think the mold's really good. The mold's great. At least the weird gray version that I got, no thank you. This is like one of the only customs I've ever done. But I think I did a decent job with this one. There's Ratchet. Get to another Autobot. We have Deluxe Class. There's no arguing whether this is a Deluxe or not. Deluxe Sideswipe. There we go. Sideswipe. This is the silver Corvette car. One of the better robot designs. I mean, the design was just really, really cool, which is why a lot of people liked this guy. Got his coolness when it comes to the wheels for feet, the blades. It was a really nice design. The Corvette in the second movie, it was just a regular top. In the third movie, it was a convertible, but it really didn't matter much for the robot design for this guy. But this guy is a really light feeling figure as far as compared to like Bumblebee. This guy feels super light as far as feeling, whoa, this is one of the lightest, at least Studio Series figures that I have. But gets the job done as far as looking like Sideswipe, having everything you need. The blades are cool. It's got a slick kind of look. A decent amount of kibble with how the car is folded up, but they folded up to where it mostly fits nice, and it's covered by these door wing things he has, which is accurate to the movie, how he had those then in the back. And obviously the wheeled feet, although thankfully they made it to where he's got these, I don't know what you call it, things on the bottom that help him stand up. Otherwise this guy would be not so fun to have. I have him with his bladed look right now, but he did come with his blasters, which he used during, his kind of final battle type scenes where these blades can come out. Where he used the blades more so in the second movie, Revenge of the Fallen, his first appearance. But in Dark of the Moon, saw him more with his blasters. I'll stick that in there. And these look nice as well. Give him that kind of look. So cool that you got both for this guy. The blades is probably the more iconic look, but can't really go too wrong with either one for this guy. So very, very cool indeed. Light feeling figure. I think it's smaller than Bumblebee. At least it should be if it wants to be accurate. Put these guys next to each other. Yeah, Bumblebee is definitely the bigger one, which would explain why this guy feels very, very light by comparison. But there's your two deluxe ones right there. The only two deluxe ones that I have. Now, if you thought that guy was small, let me showcase this one right here, if it'll even be able to show. There you go. Wheelie from, character he appeared in Revenge of the Fallen and Dark of the Moon, and The Last Night for a little bit. This one is, this isn't something you would buy by itself. This came with another figure that I'll get to when I get into the Decepticon section. So yeah, with Wheelie, I mean, this is nice representation in terms of scale to go along. The camera will not focus, there you go, to go along with the other ones that I have. Obviously, if you were to do a more detailed Wheelie, it wouldn't scale at all with the ones with the other Studio Series figures, so I get it. They had something like that for Revenge of the Fallen, a more detailed one, but obviously it doesn't scale with any of the other Autobots or Decepticons, so you have to do it this way. But for what it is, it's decent representation. Got pretty much as much detail as you want in there. There was a Brains one, his friend in Dark of the Moon, that for the life of me I cannot find anywhere. It's unfortunate, but I got Wheelie, who I think in total appeared in more the movies, 3 movies compared to 2 for Brains. Hopefully can find Brains somewhere, but there's Wheelie. Get to this one right here, another Autobot. We're gonna go up to a Voyager. Voyager, oh boy, Sentinel Prime, the spoiler alert, the disgraced Autobot. So this Sentinel is a Voyager class, so it's definitely on the bigger side compared to some of these other guys. Now this one I got off eBay, and unfortunately I got the discount price because it was missing some parts. It was missing his one of his shoulder pads, so it's unfortunate because it kind of gives it an uneven look. I mean, it's not terrible, but I wish I could replace it somehow. And the weapons that it came with, it only had half of his kind of dual sword, so this didn't look right. And I think the original Voyager came with a gun, his rust gun he used against Ironhide. It's unfortunate I don't have that. What I was able to do, speaking of Ironhide, this blade thing right here was with the weird Ironhide figure that I got. Like I said, it came with, I'm assuming, extra weapons. So this blade was perfect because I was able to use this to replicate the blade that Sentinel Prime uses. Not, completely accurate to the way the movie does it, but it's good enough and gives it a better kind of look to it. There's him. Want to do a comparison with actual Ironhide right there. Oh geez, this one definitely feels a lot heavier than this one. That scale's pretty good. And then him with actual Optimus. These guys would be around the same height. Ideally, Sentinel would be probably a little bit taller. It's kind of dead even based on what I'm seeing on camera. But overall, that's about what you need. These guys to be around the same height. This guy, very nice. You see kind of the back, they gave him that kind of dual cape kind of thing he has going on, with the back kind of splits apart. They did a really, really nice job with this figure overall. For Voyager, it's kind of perfect. Some Voyagers you're like, really? But this is definitely a good Voyager as far as, the size, what comes with it, the transformation level, the vehicle size, all that. So Voyager Sentinel, very cool. See if it kind of splits out. There you go. See how they did the transformation. It's cool how you have your actual real window chest and then the kind of fake robot design ones are right here. This guy's really, this one's really nice. They did a good job with this guy right here, and goes well with Optimus if you want to pair these two together for a battle. And then the final one to show off, and let me just move this back in advance. This is going to be a big one. All right, it's probably not going to all get on camera at the moment, but here is, there we go, Jetfire from Transformers Dark of the Moon, or Revenge of the Fallen, leader class Jetfire, obviously. This guy is huge, as he should be, as Jetfire, as he turned into a Blackbird plane. Meant his robot mode was just ginormous, and his robot scale compared to everyone else was quite big as well, and this greatly represents that in terms of the size. The size is great, but just the detail on this guy, what they were able to do as far as really improving the design from the original Jetfire figure, which from 2009, which, for what it was decent, but this guy, just so cool display-wise. The size, everything, the features, comes with his cane, comes with the battle axe. The engineering they made for this guy just looks so damn good in terms of the size, the scale, the look, transformation. That was so cool for the transformation, how he's got some faux parts as far as this isn't actually the top of the plane. I mean, there's only so much you can do, but the coolest thing was how they were able to engineer it to where the actual air exhausts on the Blackbird, I think that's what these are called, actually did become his thighs, like how they do in the movies. So that was some great engineering as well. The way this is designed for, though, it actually does combine with Optimus. You can find Optimus to replicate the end of Revenge of the Fallen. See the scale just to kind of show the difference between these two, but this is actually what it should be. Actually, to be honest, it might even be a little bit more based on how big Jetfire was, but you see just the scale right there is unbelievable as far as how big of a leader class guy this is. There are leader classes and then there are leader classes, and this guy is definitely the leader class kind of one. So this one, really amazing what they were able to do with this guy. In terms of combining it with Optimus, it's not as simple as just, slapping it right on the back or something. There's actually some parts you got to take apart, like the legs and things like that, to get that kind of look down. I'm not going to do that in this video, but you can see. And with that, that's actually all the Autobots I have. There's kind of a group shot of all of the main guys. Well, you can't really see Wheelie, but here he is. Let's put him down right there. So yeah, it's a decent little representation of some of the ones from the movies. The one I would love to have, I just don't have it, is Jazz. That would really complete the lineup from the original 5 Autobots from the first 2007 movie. Don't have that one, but I have kind of another little silver one in Sideswipe. You have all those guys together. Actually, I guess I lied because I didn't showcase or show off the other Optimus I have. Optimus from the Last Night right here. Did the review on this guy, the previous or only other Transformers video that I have on this channel right now. You see how the design from the Age of Extinction Last Night era really contrasts with the kind of design philosophy from the other movies right here, where they really more so implicated the actual vehicle parts into the robot design. And then you have this guy. But this guy is actually really good with this Nemesis Prime version. They were really able to make really do as good a job as you could for a Voyager. Actually, no, this was a leader with the kind of design restrictions as far as the way the vehicle parts just essentially all just disappear into the robot. So that's why for those Age of Extinction figures, when that movie was first coming out, those figures were awful. They did a much better job with the Last Night. The Voyager they had for Night version Optimus was actually pretty good, but they made it even better with this version. I mean, just the look of it, just the way the front looks great as far as really represent the coloring is way better than those other versions of Optimus they had. And just looking at it and like, yeah, that is Night version Optimus right there. Of course, you go to the back and, your vehicle is all just slapped on the back, and on the back of the legs as well. But, that's just kind of the design they had right there, they had to use. Originally, I guess if you were to ask me which one I would have wanted before actually getting this, I would have wanted the Age of Extinction version, just because, you can be more just regular Optimus instead of the red scar to make him be evil Nemesis Prime. But upon having this is actually way better. For one, it actually comes with the sword that he has when he's in full Night version. The gauntlet arms look a lot better. The upgraded ones he got in Age of Extinction, these look great. The coloring is just so much better on this one in terms of the darkened gray compared to the other one from Age of Extinction, which just looks lighter, just more cheap, I guess. And then the extra features he has to make him Nemesis Prime, which the little gun that he could use and he could pull out when he was fighting Bumblebee and some of that. He has this added wrist blade thing that I have stored underneath the sword. Just the features on this guy were so good. And of course, just give him the classic shield and sword kind of look. Just can do like that. So yeah, this was really cool. I really got lucky seeing this guy in the store, because this looks amazing. And I already showcased these two together in the review I did, but again, to really show the design philosophy, and do it this way, between the first few movies and then the more stylized version in the Last Night. But in terms of doing the best, I mean, these are both great for what they are in terms of representing those robot designs as best as they could. They did a did a great job with both of these guys. So this Nemesis Prime, definitely a real winner in my book. So now the Autobots have rolled out, and we're going to move to Mobilized with the Decepticons, showcasing that collection. The first of which, at least the ones that I have, is going to be Megatron from Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Megatron had very distinctive designs in actually every movie he's been in, all 5 of the live action movies. And so here's Megatron from Revenge of the Fallen, that design. I definitely prefer this out of all the Megatron designs from the movies. I think this is the best one. It's just a much cleaner, better looking design than the first movie. I like his look from the third movie as well, but I just think this one, as far as being, that Michael Bay version of Megatron, if you will, I think this is all around the best. It just looks really nice, really how they were able to put that design. This is a Voyager, by the way. Looks great, just everything you need, the accuracy, way better than the original Megatron they did for Revenge of the Fallen. That looks very nice. The whole crab gun thing, to where this is how it would be in normal blaster form, but then you just split this open, and then it can be the claw arm thing that he used to impale Optimus. Showcase that comparison. How the scale between these two guys right here. And again, it's a great thing about the Studio Series is how they scale almost perfectly. All of them do scale great with one another. See, the problem with Megatron, it is tough to get him to stand the way the tread leg things are, which obviously is accurate to the movie. You gotta split those foot portions just right to get him to stand certain ways. So even this one, he's kind of hunched over a little bit. Hopefully that that shows it off pretty well. So there's a size comparison between these two. Pretty accurate. Megatron should be noticeably bigger. It's bigger than Optimus in all the movies, especially the first. Well, at least in theory, the official scale shows more of a difference between the two, but the way the movies work, there are some shots where Megatron's usually bigger, but there are some shots where it definitely looks like it's closer than the official scale would make it seem. But I think this scale right here is a perfect balance to where Megatron, I think, should be bigger, but I don't want Megatron to be like 3 times the size of Optimus or anything like that. But this scale looks great. The only thing that would have been nicer about this figure is if the coloring was a bit more, I don't know, more of a silver metallic-y kind of look to it. I mean, this isn't terrible. It's not like super basic, but the coloring isn't. It could have been more dynamic. That would have been nice, but that's where a custom job could come in to really fix that. So there is, if he can show up, Megatron. Jesus Christ, fucking stupid camera. So there's Megatron. We go from the Decepticon leader to the second in command in Starscream. Voyager Starscream from, what is this? From the first film, 2007 movie. You got Starscream right there. From the first movie, because it doesn't have the tattoos that he got from the second and third movie. This was him when he just had the standard regular F-22 alt mode, but looks like Starscream, whether you consider that a good or bad thing from the movies in terms of the kind of peculiar design they gave him with the legs and the wideness of the chest or whatever. But I kind of liked what they did with Starscream in the movies. I actually thought the design kind of worked for the character and some of the action scenes they did with him, and this represents it really, really well as far as just the accuracy, the detail, the kind of pieces, obviously the legs. It looks nice. Cool thing would have been if they could have had an actual real jetpack piece like how we had in the movie, but they kind of tried to replicate that with some of the detail right here to give him those jetpack thrusters, if you will. Well, the only additional feature that this guy came with was, at least this 2007 version, was the his missile launcher thing. To my knowledge, none of the versions ever came with the kind of Gatling gun thing he had on his arms. But his missile launcher, the little blade that comes out right here, just kind of pops in and out, so you can easily go from his regular hand to his missile launcher arm. Now, if you got the version from Revenge of the Fallen and Dark of the Moon, that studio series, where it was a tattoo version, that one came with the buzzsaw, which would have been cool to have, but I kind of like that they gave exclusive weapons to each of the different ones you could get, because he didn't use the buzzsaw in the first one, so this one he looked like this, so this is pretty accurate. Although, from what I've seen, the more I think about it, I think if I had my choice, I probably would have gotten the tattoo version. I got this original first when it came out, and I never got the tattoo version when that came, but I think that one would have been nice to have just for the extra kind of darker coloring and kind of gives it more of a detailed kind of look. But this looks nice. It's definitely kind of a cleaner look when it doesn't have the tattoos, so that looks cool. And you know, this comparison, you have him and Megatron together. This is mostly a pretty good scale right here. Megatron, Starscream was a bigger character because he was a jet, but he definitely shouldn't be bigger than Megatron. This is a little, at least from most of the shots, Megatron in the movies, Megatron would have been noticeably a little bit bigger, probably around maybe right here compared to Starscream. From this, I mean, it's close. You can kind of go either way with how it looks. To get a more accurate look, you might have to bend the legs a little bit more. So that's, well, even that doesn't look good, because it wouldn't be able to stand right. So you just have to kind of go with this, like that. But it mostly gets the job done. So you can have these two together. Jesus Christ, can I get it to stand right? There we go. So yeah, that's Megatron and their Starscream together, that duo. Go from Megatron, Starscream, again, two Voyagers. And go from those two and bring in the communications officer, Soundwave, deluxe Soundwave, a much smaller figure, Jesus, compared to the other two. But it is accurate, because Soundwave, in his Dark of the Moon version, he was transformed into a Mercedes, and you saw in that scene where it's all three of them in Dark of the Moon, he was a much smaller compared to Megatron and Starscream. The only weird thing is that in Revenge of the Fallen, when he was a satellite version, I mean, he was a satellite, so he was obviously humongous, so definitely got a reduction in size for the sequel. But I don't mind the smaller, I guess, size for Soundwave. The character was still cool enough, which you could have seen a little bit more of him. But there's Soundwave. Now, this one I did get on eBay, and it didn't come with the only other accessory this guy came with. It was actually a small laser beak for Dark of the Moon, so you could have had him on his arm, like in the Africa scene. Unfortunately, I don't have that, so this one that I have doesn't have any features, unfortunately. The only kind of cool comparison that I could do would be him next to Ravage from Revenge of the Fallen. Ravage didn't appear in Dark of the Moon when Soundwave looked like this. This didn't come with any Soundwave figure. This comes with another figure that I'll get into later, but at least you can have, at least for this one anyway, I can have Soundwave with one of the guys right here. So that's nice. One of his minions anyway. And then to do the fun size comparison to really kind of showcase what I'm talking about. For the Africa scene, I think you had Soundwave. You had Soundwave right here. Megatron in the middle. And then Starscream on the right. Come on. There we go. So there's the Decepticon leadership big three, if you will. So cool having this trio of guys together. I'll have an even better showcase a little later on. So we go from these three to our next one. guess you could call it a Decepticon Big Four, because you want to have Leader Class Shockwave from Dark of the Moon. And Decepticons for Transformers, it's, you see most of the big three in terms of Megatron, Starscream, and Soundwave, but the big four, which we can make it, would be Shockwave as well, as far as those iconic Decepticons. Leader Class from Dark of the Moon, Shockwave's only appearance. This guy looks so damn cool. Oh my God, this looks unbelievable. This is arguably my favorite studio series as far as just looking effing awesome, which Shockwave's design in Dark of the Moon was so damn cool. So, and this is able to look just like it. What's nice is that because Shockwave didn't transform into any vehicle mode, for all Transformers figures, they want to give it a vehicle mode, but because, they could just throw in some weird Cybertronian thing, that means this robot mode could be as accurate as possible. And I mean, who the hell is going to get Shockwave and leave him transformed in his tank mode, which he didn't even have, which if you did transform him, those would be the back pieces right here, the kind of tank pieces. But screw that, just want freaking Shockwave right here. This is so damn cool. From Dark of the Moon. This guy actually came with, I teased this earlier, he came with Wheelie. I think the intention, Wheelie and Brains, like I said, I can't find the Brains figure I had. I think the intention was to try to do it to where it's like that scene in Dark of the Moon where he's kind of going after Wheelie and Brains in Dark of the Moon, and Brains says, "Oh, watch out, Shockwave's coming." So that's what that was supposed to be. So cool that he came with those guys, I guess. He also came with a parachute that you could use to do the scene where he meets his demise. Spoiler alert. But the detail on this guy, the accuracy, the feel, the menace, just looking like that awesome Shockwave design, great. The only thing that is weird, I think some of the paint is starting to come off the one I have, because I'm pretty sure this used to be more of your solid blackish purple, and now it's really getting scraped up. So that's a little unfortunate, but it still looks amazing though. This guy looks so effing cool. To do a little quick size comparison. Him next to Optimus. So that, in terms of their, I guess, a brief scene where Optimus was fighting him in Chicago, that's good. That's a good scale right there. Again, this is a Leader Class. That Optimus was a Voyager. I've got another Leader Class I want to showcase. Gotta pull it out because it is a bigger figure. Hold on, just give me a sec. There we go. Shockwave, another Leader Class we have. Leader Class Grindor from Revenge of the Fallen. Of course, could be Leader Class Blackout too. The design was the same for both characters. Blackout being the actual first robot you saw in the first movie. Grindor being the kind of clone design that came in Revenge of the Fallen, and he was featured in the forest battle scene along with Optimus, Megatron, and Starscream. So this is officially supposed to be Grindor, but obviously it could be Blackout as well. This guy, wow. I remember picking this up and just kind of being blown away by just the detail, accuracy, and look. I mean, all Studio Series figures do this, but I mean, just look at this guy with that face sculpt and then all this extra stuff on the top, true to the movie, just the detail and the design, the legs. I mean, this just blew me away. Again, Leader Class, so you see all the extra effort and detail that's put into it. It looks amazing. The back, again, you can do Optimus. I mean, you can do Blackout, Grindor, whoever you want it to be. Grindor, at least based on the scale from the movies, was pretty damn big. I'll showcase a comparison in just a sec. Only weapons he came with is blade weapon right here, the back of the helicopter. Can spin it, same like what Blackout did, to do a little combat action right there. Not bad. He also came with, weirdly enough, he came with this guy, Ravage. they packaged Ravage with Grindor, which is weird because those characters didn't really have any kind of association in the movies, because it should have paired him with that deluxe sound wave that they had in his satellite Revenge of the Fallen form. That's weird to include him with Grindor. But whatever, still cool that they were able to include a Ravage somewhere. But just this Grindor, so cool. So for your forest battle, you got Grindor, Megatron. Come on. And then Starscream. It'd be so cool. And of course, putting Optimus in the middle of all that action. The best scene in all of those movies. I mean, this scene almost single-handedly makes Revenge of the Fallen worth watching, which is really saying something, to be honest. But there's your scale or look for all of those guys together to recreate that whole scene. Pretty damn cool. Of course, you would need the Revenge of the Fallen Starscream to be completely accurate. This is the 07, but still really cool to have all of those guys together. So there's Grindor. Next one we're going to take a look at, we're going to go down to Voyager scale again with Voyager Bone Crusher, featured in the first film, the 2007 movie. Although you see, this is, I can get him to stand. He's got the same thing with Sideswipe, the weird wheel feet. So you gotta position it right to get him to stand. Robot mode looks cool, with the obvious thing being, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, wasn't Bone Crusher like kind of lightish brown color? Remember in the movies, his iconic scene was the scene on the freeway in the first film where he's skating after the whole team and Optimus battles him. Iconic scene. I mean, I remember seeing that in the trailers as a kid, and that just blowing me away. But this color is not accurate to it. This is what I was talking about with that Ratchet figure from before, from the Autobots. It's like a weird NES stealth version of Bone Crusher, where they gave him this dullish blackish gray color, which obviously isn't accurate to the movie. I don't know who the hell thought this was a good idea. Just make it the color that it's supposed to be. Who the hell wants to get this guy and have him be in this weird gray-black color? It's just kind of stupid. So whatever. The mold is still gray and super accurate to Bone Crusher. Kind of weird spiky claw thing in the back. It's very nice. Just getting him to stand can be a little tough because of the wheel feet. There he is. And then I guess I've been pulling out Optimus a lot, but here he is again, so he can do that scene. To be honest, I think the one for scaling, Bone Crusher should be a little bit bigger if you want to be completely accurate, but that, maybe I need to angle it. Well, see, you can't even angle it that much. I mean, it's not like he can stand super tall because of his posture. I guess that's actually okay. So there you can do that whole scene right there. Optimus can go well with a lot of figures, so this looks cool, even if I really wish this was the right color. Unfortunately, it's not. All right, and then our actual last one we're going to look at, going to go up in scale again. I already know I have to angle this up a little bit more. Going to leader class scale. We're going to go with leader, leader class. Sorry, I'm just stalling a little bit. Oh boy. Hold up. Almost got it. Just know it's a leader class, so it's a big one. Alright, there we go. Leader class, the Fallen from Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, the main antagonist of that film. It's a leader class that came out in stores, I guess, a couple years ago now. It was cool they got the Fallen down, gave him a leader class because the size really warrants it. He was a pretty big character compared to everyone else. Even the scenes, I guess briefly, when you saw him in scale with the other Autobots towards the end of the movie. A very big character on the same scale as Jetfire, another character from Revenge of the Fallen. Showcase those two together. See how massive in scale these two guys are. Again, showing Optimus compared to both of these guys. Pretty small figure. Actually, I guess a good scale to show would be him next to Megatron as well. Those guys had a few scenes, notable scenes together. The Master and the Apprentice, or the Emperor and Darth Vader, with how the movie played out in those scenes. So actually, that's a great scale right there. For as big as the Fallen is, Megatron's got some good size to him too, so that looks really nice as well. But yeah, this Fallen figure, to really go into it, very nice. The Fallen didn't transform in the movie, so that meant they could really focus on giving him a very accurate robot mode, but the color looks so really good on this guy. Just you get him up close and, you know, it's really, I mean, it's the Fallen. It looks like how it should. These weird alien appendix back pieces. Those pieces were always really weird on the Fallen. Then he has more of a bionicle kind of look to him. But those looks really nice. It's only real feature, the staff that comes with him. It's the only thing he used in battle. He's got his staff, the weird split apart toe feet. But this guy looks great. This looks really good. Actually, I guess I take that back. I said the only feature he comes with is the staff. I almost forgot. The coolest thing they did with this guy, a little sad for the Fallen, to recreate the battle at the end of the Revenge of the Fallen, when Optimus says, "Give me your face," he can actually take his face off and give it right to you. Take it off, and then boom, you have his sad, kind of skinned off face, almost kind of like a bird beak. Can open it up when he's kind of screaming in pain, going, "Oh no, Optimus, you got me," when he's meeting his end and can have the drool falling out of his mouth. Interesting feature to give him, but that's really cool. They went the extra length to give him that. This is kind of this face piece is a kind of plasticky kind of rubber. So it's a nice looking face, but you know, the Fallen didn't really go out with any dignity when Optimus took him out at the end of that movie. Cool feature that they gave him. And you know, you have to kind of put it in there. It should stay in there pretty well. Just for whatever reason, I'm scared I'm gonna break off the head. But yeah, there you have the Fallen. So a nice way to show I guess with how the movie's lore played out, the original Decepticon, and rightfully so, in leader form. Pretty damn cool. You know, I said that was gonna be our final one we were going to showcase. I almost forgot. You have the Fallen, but I have another leader to showcase. Another leader class, not quite as big as the Fallen, but still pretty bulky, all things considered, is from the original Decepticon leader to, well, just Decepticon leader, I guess, Megatron, but this time from Dark of the Moon, when he's in his Mad Max truck type form. I don't have the cape that went with him. I got this off eBay. So it didn't come with the cape. I got it for a discount, but it didn't come with his cloak, and it didn't come with the gun either. This gun is from an old Age of Extinction Optimus figure, but it kind of works well as Megatron's shotgun, really his only weapon that he used in that movie. This figure's got some good bulk to it. I really like the coloring they gave on it. Much more of a metallic type coloring and more dynamic than the actual Revenge of the Fallen Megatron. I did as good as a job they could with that design, giving it nice bulk. The chest portion, the arms, all that looks really good. The only problem I've had with this figure over the years, or just looking at it, the legs, it would have been nice because I think the legs just look too thin at the knees, and then there's all this bulk on the bottom, so the proportions are just kind of way off on the lower section, to where that's where the Revenge of the Fallen Megatron is better. That's why I think it's the better figure out of all the Megatrons they've done so far for Studio Series. They haven't done him from the Last Night yet. That would be a nice one to have. But this one, in terms of the basic look, is still pretty nice. It's got some big bulk to it. The vehicle mode is really long and big on this guy. We'll showcase him next to the, here you have it, Revenge of the Fallen version. Kind of see what I was talking about. The coloring is way better, I think, on this Megatron. The few clear silver pieces there are, well, on the head, a little bit of the chest. I just think that looks a lot better than this one, which is dull by comparison. But this one, the vehicle, the robot mode is much cleaner. The Revenge of the Fallen one on the right doesn't have the weird proportions. The knees or the legs are perfectly balanced. Whereas, like I said, for this one, looks decent, except that when you get to those knees, it's just really those knees and the bulkiness back here on the legs, the back thighs. It's a bit too much, even though I'll give them credit. As far as having like all of the wheels go where they're supposed to in robot form, they did a pretty good, they did it perfectly as far as the inner two wheels right here in this section, and then just the one on the right ankle, and then the two wheels that are in his arm section up here. So in that respect, they did a great job. It was a tricky design for the Dark of the Moon Megatron to pull off for toy form, but for what they did for here, even getting the kind of weird, I don't know how this works for a transformation in the actual movie, how he has the chain thing going on with him in the chest and stomach area. I mean, that's nice. Again, mine didn't come with, the one I got didn't come with the, on eBay, didn't come with the cloak and shotgun, but overall, this is still not bad for what it is. Let's do one more comparison for fun. I've shown enough of Optimus, so let me show him with the other, his fellow Chicago war starter, Sentinel Prime. So you can do those scenes between the two in Chicago. That scale is how it should be in terms of how the official scale should work. Megatron being noticeably bigger. Although, again, like how they do with the movies, there are some of the scenes that they're in, the first scene anyway, there didn't seem to be like that much of a height difference between the two. But overall, this scale works out pretty well. And there's all your Decepticons together, at least the ones that I have. So it's a pretty good lineup right there. Some ones that would be cool to have. I mean, the Devastator one, in theory, but that's a lot of figures you got to buy to actually have it combine. It'd be a massive one to have, but it would be pretty cool. Some other ones, I mean, these are the main ones that would are the good ones to have. I guess in terms of bad guys, having Lockdown from Age of Extinction, that would have been nice as well. I didn't quite get that Voyager, or that Deluxe when it came out. He's not a Decepticon though, but obviously a bad guy. But yeah, it's a cool looking lineup of bad guys, Decepticons, to have in your collection. All of your guys here, well, except Soundwave, who's a Deluxe, being a Voyager or above. Actually, that reminds me, I guess Barricade, that would be a nice one. In terms of your main Decepticon leadership, if you want to put it that way, Barricade from either the first movie or from The Last Night, that would have been cool to have. Actually, that almost makes me forget, in terms of that comparison I wanted to do, having Dark of the Moon Megatron try to do that Africa scene. Actually, you see how color-wise, that just looks so much better. This version right here. It's just that the legs and the way this one works is not as good, to be honest. But yeah, that looks really cool. I guess if you want to be accurate, you have Soundwave on the left, Starscream on the right. It's a pretty cool showcase right there of your main main bad guys, or your Decepticons. Very nice. And there you have it with the showcase of some of the figures from all of the figures from my Transformers Studio Series collection. Here's a final shot of some of them. It's not all of the ones that were in this video. There's not enough room on my white canvas or camera screen for all of these guys. Got some Autobots on the left, Decepticons on your right. Definitely a lot more color on your left side right here. But yeah, the Studio Series is really cool. You know, it's always fun to see some of these in the store. Like I said, some of them I actually did pick up on eBay. There's still some notable ones from the movies, specifically Age of Extinction and The Last Night. They haven't done Studio Series figures for. Some of the ones I would have wanted to get locked down. I didn't get it when they originally did it, but Hound and some of the others would be nice to have. But again, for display, the detail and the way these scale and look with one another, very nicely done. So that'll do it for this showcase video of my Studio Series collection. If you made it to the end of this long video, thank you for watching.